In self-catering accommodation is the next one, under SC. Then you have backpackers and hostels, and the last one you have caravan camping, and then the one which we're here to talk about today is obviously MIS, or meetings, exhibitions and special events. So if you're a statistician, or if you are familiar and enjoy working with numbers, you'll notice that unfortunately in 2012, meetings and events were our least, we got the least amount of information and respondents from this particular sector. And it's critical that we are here to engage with you and to change that phenomenon. We want to change that trend because we believe that this is an enormous part of the industry that can support us as South African tourism in taking tourism as a contributor to the economic development of South Africa to a new level. So we're here to encourage you to participate. We're here to encourage you to share. We're here to encourage you to give us your inputs. And we're hoping to see very different numbers to this as we head towards the end of the review process in 2016. What I've done here is just give you an indication of the kind of things we look at. So we have a pretty extensive list of criteria when we're out there grading a particular property. In this particular case, I've given you what it was in 2012 from an information technology and telecommunications standard, and also technical services, so this is all your audio-visual stuff, and what actually came out of the process. So you can see there were a number of adaptations. Exactly the same principle will be applied in this particular round of our criteria review. So we will start off with something, we'll feed it to you in the industry through the different platforms, obviously SAACI being a key one for us in this particular sector of the tourism industry, and we will revise as we get guidance from you and inputs from you going forward. So that's what the plant looks like. Somebody who has gone to the trouble of having one of our many assessors visit them, run through a process of accreditation. If they comply and meet the minimum entry requirements, and based on their different quality criteria, they would be awarded a MIS, meetings, exhibitions and special events plaque. I think what is important here is that meetings, events and special events is something it's something a little bit of a bone of contention. So we've spent a lot of time engaging already with people who are in the industry. And a lot of you are saying that does not accurately represent what the criteria should be for this particular industry. And so we're going to give you the opportunity now. It's going to be a very straightforward, very easy exercise to engage with us as an audience, but also we'll take this further, it won't stop here. And to give us your input. So I want some of you to take out, or all of you rather, to take out your cell phones and to go onto the app and to find the program. You can scroll down on the program to find this particular session. And you can click on this particular session. So this particular session is the Stars of Business Events. You click on it, and you should have in the blue block what we call the topic. Underneath it you should have polls, right? Everybody got that? Please do not push anything yet. Do not push anything yet. So we're going to work through it. There's 4 questions on here. There's answers, possible answers to it. And if this system works correctly, I'm going to be able to ask you the question, you're going to give us your answer, and I'm going to give you a summary of each of the questions. It hasn't been tested. So if it doesn't work, I apologize, but I have every comfort that the technical team here has got it right. So, we mentioned MIS, which not many people in the industry like. I want to know from you, and it's question 1. Please note, the questions on the app are not in the correct order. It's got something to do with word count, so find question 1. The question to you is, which of the following terms best generically categorizes the facilities in which your industry, or which your industry rather, utilizes? And the options you're going to have will be 1, meetings and events, 2 will be venues, 3, meetings and event venues, 4, the current status quo, which is meetings, exhibitions and special events, or MIS, and lastly, none of the above. You have a strong belief that things need to change. So I'll give you all just 10 seconds, 15 seconds to log your votes. Everybody got polls?
My name starts from 3, but I don't know about you.
I just like to be
Are yours from question 2? Does yours only come up from question 3?
Everybody done? Those who have got polls, everybody done? Okay, so let's have a look.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hold thumbs. It's thinking, you see. It's tabulating. We can have some background music here. Tabulating the results. I feel like the host of Telefon quiz. Martin Bailey, wasn't he called? Only got 45 minutes. Okay, so here we go. Apologies about the size, but there's the question, and those are the possible answers. And it looks to me that the majority of the room, 46% of you, have said that meetings, exhibitions, and special events is the most accurate descriptor of this particular industry, which is the current status quo. So this is valuable information, and thank you for that. Got it? Right. This should work. Super. Let's continue. It's important that we describe and we also give a definition to this particular sector of the industry. And please note, during the process of revision, we've come to what we propose to be the new definition for this now, which you have voted as the meetings, exhibition, and special events category. So the proposed definition of this is a meeting and or event venue is a permanent structure. Remember, we've slipped in permanent structure because we cannot grade something which is not there for at least a year. So it needs to be a permanent structure, hosting groups and providing a flexible and often multifunctional space or spaces with appropriate food and beverage, logistics or logistical, and business support services. So you will find question 2 on your polls. And your possible answers to is this, in your opinion, an applicable definition of your industry? You will have the answers, yes, that's definitely us. No, Daryl, you're close, but no cigar. I'm undecided at this stage. Daryl, we need to chat a bit more. And the last one, you've completely lost the plot. Best you start again. So pick up your phones, everybody, and give us your input. There's a definition for those of you who are looking for it. Okay, let's have a look, see if we get some results. Technical on standby. Tabulating. Okay. Right, so we've got some answers for you. I think it's pretty unresounding. Everybody says that's definitely us. It's an accurate descriptor of what the industry does. So 64.4% of you, it's changing as we go. But I think it's a pretty unanimous decision. Thank you. And remember, we'll take all of these results as we move forward, and I'll talk to you a little bit in a second about how we move forward from this process. So then I want to talk to you a little bit about industry challenges, and these are things that are coming up over and over again, and these are things that are being communicated to us from both you, who are either the owners of properties and the people who manage and those of you who use properties as well. And that is that there's often, in our line of work, there's often a bit of a disconnect between the hotel's conference facility and the actual hotel accommodation. And it's more prevalent in the hotel space. And what typically is happening is you're having a 4 or 5-star property, but when you actually get to the conference facility, you're finding a little bit of a lower quality of experience. I hear some ahas in the audience. So I take it it's something that's not just pulled out of the air. It is definitely a challenge. And why this is happening is a number of reasons. It's happening because we have 2 sets of criteria. So we have a set of criteria for a formal hotel, and we have a set of criteria for the meetings, exhibitions, and special events. And what is typically happening is if you own a property such as this one, you would be grading this particular property from a hotel and a formal hotel perspective. But in many instances, if you did not want to grade the meeting spaces separately and pay an additional cost, so cost is a driver here, which is something I need to tell you we're working on bringing down. But if you didn't want to incur that extra cost, the assessor would only have an option to grade this part of your property as part of the public areas. And unfortunately, this is what's creating the disconnect, because you as an industry have decided what the minimum criteria are for a meeting and event space such as this one. However, when it comes to a hotel and the formal hotels, a lot of the time the meeting venues are being graded as a specific public area. So, we've made a couple of recommendations for you. We've said we want to look at potentially bringing in some changes, and those changes are around the size of the meetings that these particular meetings and event spaces can accommodate. And our recommendation to you as an industry is, if a particular property has meeting spaces, and in this case I'm talking to hotels, that accommodate less than 50 people in their biggest venue, they should be permitted to use the public area as part of the formal hotel category. If, however, they are larger than 50 in terms of the number of delegates they can accommodate, they should have to use the meetings, events, and special events criteria going forward. If, however, they're standalone, and we often have the convention centres, the convention centre in Durban, obviously Cape Town, the one in Sandton, they would be completely standalone and obviously use the criteria which is the current status quo. So that's our recommendation to you. Now we need to understand from you, are we on the right track? So if you can pick up your phones again, scroll to the question, which is question 3, and tell us, in your opinion, does this approach, or will this approach, largely eradicate the kind of challenges that you in the industry are facing with this particular problem? The options you will have is yes, the grading council now begins to speak my language. Kind of, Daryl, you're not too far off, but a little bit of extra engagement and a little bit of a chat needs to be had offline. No, you completely don't get it, and I don't think there was a problem in the first place. So take a couple of seconds, 15 seconds for everybody to log in their votes as the technical team comes closer. Okay, so it looks to be finding the results for us. Okay, there we go. We've got some answers for you, eventually. So 65%, almost 66% of you are saying you're now beginning to speak our language. So it's very positive input. As I said, it's going to be a huge discussion after this and through the various different platforms that we have available to us. But this gives us an indication from you now as an industry about what your feeling is. So that's great. Thank you very much. Okay, the next question you're going to ask is where to from here? So we've asked you 3 questions, there's another one coming, but 3 questions is not going to solve the industry problems and obviously the challenges we've had from a grading perspective. It's important, I think, that we work closely with Adrian and the team at SAACI and also begin to work at your branch meetings across all provinces. So our last question to you is going to be, having interacted here today in this online forum, would you like to consult with us as individual members at your different SAACI branch meetings in all the different provinces across South Africa? You'll find one last question on your app. The question there is yes. Number 1, I have lots to say, and I know there's many of you out there, so please select that one. Maybe if there's wine, that's specifically for the Cape Town people. The 3rd one is no, you can count me out. And the 4th one there is, I believe that the SAACI head honchos, the team in the front row, will represent our industry and can handle this. So put your votes in for us, please. Hello. I'm doing a Kim Kardashian. I crashed the internet. Oh, but I crashed the app. Anybody else having issues? Oh, goodness. Sounds like the Samsung Android are fine, but iPhones crash. Okay, I'm going to hit results and we'll see what we've got there from those who could vote, just in the interest of time, because we know this takes a while. I think you should just, mind you, it's the last question. Here we go. Oh, on its own. Thinking. And there we go. So this is very positive response. So over almost 55% of you are saying when you come to our province, engage with us at the branch, you'd like to have a little bit more to say. So we're very pleased. That shows great engagement from you as an industry. We look forward to engaging with you on taking and asking questions and getting input from you on these particular set of criteria. Just so that you know, we have contracted a company called Grant Thornton. Leanne is with us in the audience. She's one of the directors at Grant Thornton, and they are project managing this for us purely from a capacity perspective. So if you get emails and information that is coming to you from Grant Thornton, please, it will be Tourism Grading Council related queries and questions, so please don't ignore it. Right, let's move along. I said in the beginning we wanted to discuss, the current state of affairs. We wanted to look at grading and our criteria review, and lastly, what's the future of grading? There's been many questions thrown about, bantered about over the last couple of years about, is it actually relevant? Many people are saying you have these wonderful online channels, the likes of your Airbnb and so on, and where does grading fit into this bigger process? So I think it's important to share with you what the UN World Tourism Organization thinks. And this was a quote from the Secretary General, who said, as a grading council, and as a big player in the industry, we're going to have to move, and we're going to have to shift our thinking. And we're going to have to start looking at not only the physical attributes of a property. So gone are those days when somebody, an assessor, an accredited assessor from the grading council walks into your property, checks off your property in terms of the different criteria they have in front of them, marks it, gives you a particular grade, and they disappear again for a year. And they're saying the service aspect of it is beginning to play a bigger and bigger part in the way in which we determine what the quality offering is. So I'm very pleased to say, those of you who were at Indaba and were able to participate in the tech talks at Indaba would know that the Grading Council launched what we call TAP, or the Tourism Analytics Program. And the Tourism Analytics Program enables us as a Grading Council to scrape all of the online guest reviews for South African product, whether you are graded or not graded, from some of the biggest players in the industry from an online guest review perspective. So now you can begin to imagine, I've got a group of assessors who go out every year and they go and assess product. But I also have thousands upon hundreds of thousands upon millions of people who are using graded and ungraded establishments around the country, and they are able to give me feedback almost as if they were a mystery guest shopper. So what this particular product does is it scrapes, as I said, a number of the bigger online guest review portals, and it aggregates and summarizes the scores from all of these different online portals into one central platform, where I can now begin to see an average score from a service perspective for whether it be a small bed and breakfast here in Bloemfontein or a large hotel in Cape Town. It's all now on our system. And what I'm going to do before we close is just give you an example of what it looks like. So this particular report I've just pulled from March of this year, and I can tell you that across South African product, whether you are any of the different categories we grade, we had 5,748 reviews by users of product across any of those categories, and that's for South African product. I can also tell you that 86.24% of those scored those properties more than a 4 out of 5, and 13.76 or 76 scored less than that. The nice one to look at from us as a grading council are the two little dials in the middle, and those speak to the average ratings from members, which are graded members and non-graded members. And it's very interesting for us to see that out of the graded establishments, their average score from a service perspective is 4.41 out of 5, and average score for ungraded properties is 4.34. So what that tells me is, as an industry, those who are graded and comply with standards are more inclined to focus on service delivery than those who are not. And it's for that exact reason that we have to encourage more and more and more product out there to go through the process of getting graded, because it formalizes the way in which they offer service as well. So we can do this across the entire subsector or the sector of tourism across South Africa, but we can also drill down from province, we can drill down to city, we can drill down to suburb. I can drill down only for 5-star, I can drill down only for 4-star, I can drill down only for 2-star and a particular category. So what I've done here is I've given you a guest house and showed you that I'm only looking at one member. You'll see under key metrics there it shows only one member. And this particular member had 261 reviews over the course of March, and 96.5% of them rated this property above 4.5. You can see on the right-hand side the kind of platforms that we got this information from. So you've got bookings.com, you've got Expedia, you've got hotels.com and TripAdvisor. And the beauty is, as now an assessor, you can walk into a product, and because you have access to this kind of information from a service perspective, instead of being the policeman, you can now be the partner to them. You can tell them where their shortcomings are, because you've asked literally hundreds of thousands of people. And what it also enables us to do is to see the actual reviews. So it's not something that is just, this fancy algorithm that happens in the back. We actually can pull each individual review. We can tell you who that person was, what platform it came from, what their rating was, the date it happened, who the reviewer was, as I mentioned, and we can actually read all of their comments. And this is now available free, as a free option, to every single graded establishment out there. So if anybody's ever asked you what the value is of being graded, this is a key driver of our value proposition going forward. And it's about the Grading Council adopting and embracing technology to change the way in which we change quality assurance in South Africa. So I'm going to leave you with a video after we've had a couple of questions, if there's any sort of burning questions in the audience. And I want to leave you with a short video which I think will contextualize how we intend to take grading forward. Any burning questions that I can address now? If not, I can take one or two, or the rest of them rather, in the tea break afterwards. Is there one? There, right at the back.
Thank you, Daryl. Nadi Swart from UNISA. You had a poll with us and you've asked our opinions, and you specifically also proposed a definition.
Yeah.
Is that my understanding that this will now become the acknowledged definition for, I think it was for venues?
No, we're using this opportunity to gauge the general feeling. We have to, as part of our process, engage with all of the associations that play in the industry. So in this particular case, we'll engage with the SAACI and other associations, EXA, and you name it, because we have to get their final approval. So we will have a set of criteria which has had a number of inputs from, including actual users or travellers, and those criteria will be proposed to our awards committee, who is the board that I represent or that I report into. And once that has been approved, obviously we'll come back to industry and say, we've taken all of your inputs into consideration, we've taken all of your feedback from the various sessions we've had now, because as you've indicated, you want us to travel the country and meet at your branch meetings, and we will then publish, at the end of this process, a set of criteria across the star grading process, or the star grading system, for your particular subsector of the industry. And that will then become what we will use going forward, probably only into the new year.
May I make a suggestion that you also consider contacting tourism educators South Africa also for their inputs, as I think we can provide valuable contributions in terms of the scientific nature of the formulation of definitions.
Thank you. We want to be as broad as possible in this consultation process, so point noted, we'll definitely do so. Thank you. We appreciate the willingness to interact. Maybe let's take one more question before we wrap it up. Everybody happy? Super. I want you to interact with us, please. We have a very, very active Twitter page. We have a very active social media, for that matter. We have a very active Facebook page. And then I think the most important one is the bottom one. We have what differentiates us as the Grading Council from other people who accredit quality in South Africa is the fact that we have some sort of recourse. And you, as a user of products, or it could be in your personal capacity or business capacity, are encouraged, if you're using a product that is graded and you have any experience that you would like to share with us, whether it be positive or whether it be negative, please make use of the Feedback at Tourism Grading Council line. It enables us to engage with the assessor, with the property owner, with the management of that property, and either get you some sort of recourse or obviously send on your compliments and your feedback to them. So please use it actively. We have somebody at our office who mans this 24/7, so all feedback is welcome. I'm going to leave you now with a video. As I said, I just want to leave you with something that contextualizes what we feel will be the way forward. Oh, video. A bit eager there. Got it.
Look to the sky. What do you see? On my journeys west, to the dry plains of the Kalahari, among the kings of the bush, I saw a young girl put through embers to the heavens, filling the dark with stars. On my journey south, among the Khoi and San, the Dutch and English, I experienced Mura, the three bright eyes of the great lion, glaring along the milky footpath of the gods. On my journeys north, to the land of Bafedi, Bavenda, and Bazora, where winds tell secrets to the tall grass, I saw Tudana, the little giraffe, rising higher than the moon, reminding men of their time to plow. Through the heartland, I met the Basotho, in northwest, the Botswana, and on my journeys east, where the Amandebele welcomed me, and the Zulus stood alongside me, I looked to the heavens, and saw the realm of all of Africa's kings. But along my journeys, I've seen more than even this. For no matter where I arrive, one thing remains, that each star guides me to another, foretelling my destination. And that wherever any of us may choose to go next, it is the stars that show us the way, that bring us together. Travelers, seekers, hosts of each your own home, putting stars where they belong in all 9 corners of our land. Tourism Grading Council of South Africa. Quality in tourism.
Just before I sit down, if I may, I obviously work very close with Amanda, and those of you who know she's not able to be here. She's asked me just to make one quick announcement, and that is about the trade shows for next year. We're pleased to announce that Meetings Africa will take place on the 28th of February till the 1st of March 2017, hosted by the city of Johannesburg in the province of Gauteng. And we're also pleased to announce that Indaba will take place from the 6th to the 8th of May, hosted by the City of Durban and the province of KwaZulu-Natal. She's also asked that you make contact with those representatives here or when you've left the venue at the National Convention Bureau. We're in the process of launching it, so applications and enrollments and bookings will happen pretty shortly. So please use that opportunity to engage with the NCBT here. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of it.
All right, thank you very much, Daryl, as they do the hugs and kisses and give all the love there. It's great.